Jenna said, doesn't the use of reflectors, lights, or glass depend on the order and what the bishops will allow? So not as much the order, but what community that you live in. In my community and in most communities, the bishop does not just make up the rules on the go. When the community is founded, they come up with the rules, and all the bishop does is enforce those rules. In some cases, the rules may be changed. For example, before cell phones, there was no rule that you couldn't have a cell phone, And then cell phones started becoming popular. Then they had to add a rule that you can have a cell phone. So there will be new rules added occasionally as they feel it's needed. But like the buggy rules in my community, they were decided when the first people settled in the Fredericktown area. They came up with the rules that they wanted for their community. And those were the rules that they chose, like I explained in the previous video. Now, over in Holmes County, there's some other old order Amish churches that are church districts that have storm fronts. They have headlights. They can have drum brakes. They have all this cool stuff on their buggies that we were not allowed to have in our old order Amish community. But we were allowed to have the slow-moving vehicle triangles on the back, the orange ones. And then up in Ashland, Ohio, where I also spent quite a bit of time going to the singings up there, Rumspringa, running around up there, they were not allowed to have the orange slow-moving vehicle signs. Instead, they had a gray one with gray reflective tape, and it looked really different. And they only had lanterns. They did not have any battery lights, and their oilcloths were different than ours. In my community, the oilcloth came down over the front and came over to the dash, and you could put your reins over the dash underneath the oilcloth, and you could drive while being mostly protected and sheltered from the wind. And Ashland, you couldn't do that because their oilcloth came straight down, and you could bring it down to your knees. That was about it. Or you could cover your knees and just drive. But it was really hard to drive with the oilcloths that they had in Ashland, Ohio. So every community is different, but those are the rules that are decided when the community is founded for the most part, especially when it comes to rules, pertaining to buggies. On other subjects, they will amend and change the rules as need be. But for the buggies, that's usually set in stone from the very beginning of the community.